Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to All in Texas Football, and welcome back to our Friday live stream. I like to call it a freak flag, feel good, fake it till you make it. Ric Flair, woo! We always call it a football Friday right here on All in Texas Football. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, pleased to be joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton, and of course, the newest member, my good friend and now co-worker, Jeff Howe, who needs no introduction at all. All right, folks, we got a lot to get into on the show. You guys know how it works, though. You throw out as many questions and comments as you want to. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time. We do have a couple of topics that I want to get the guys' thoughts on, but I know you guys want to talk about Texas basketball, of course, because the reports are that Texas will be moving on from Rodney Terry. So, yes, we can talk some Texas men's hoops as well. Hey, if y'all want to, we can get into the ladies who are still alive in the tournament. They will be a top seed in the tournament. So, whatever you guys want to talk about, of course, the show belongs to you. Let's jump right into it, guys, because I know that the elephant in the room is, of course, Rodney Terry's job status, and there has been no word from the university. How do you guys think this is going to play out here? I mean, what's in your opinion, how's this thing going to play out? And do you think that Texas, already has their next head coach in mind?
So I'll say this. I think, look, first of all, it was business as usual for the basketball staff. They were in meetings this morning, talking portal. They're still there in the final two for Koa Pete, a five-star power forward, the brother of Andrews Pete, NFL offensive tackle. He's out of Peoria, Arizona. It's Texas and Arizona State are the final two. They've been recruiting him for a couple of years. So it's pretty much meetings this morning, meetings around lunchtime, business as usual. Jeff, that shouldn't surprise anybody, though, because one thing we know, and Bobby Burton posted on OnTexasFootball.com about this, and we were talking about this morning, Jeff and Rod. And Jeff, I know you can expand on this, is what happened with Sark, Herman to Sark, and Pierce to Schloss. For people that aren't paying attention to CDC, there's a method to the madness. You're not going to announce somebody's gone and then let it hang out there for 72 hours and have speculation everywhere. This is a releasing one person from their job, already having the contract pretty much signed of the next guy. And it's all going to trickle out within 10 to 12 hours of each other, if not quicker.
Yeah. The baseball hire was unique, just in terms of we knew for a couple of weeks before it happened what was going to happen. And I mean, in the interest of full disclosure, David Pierce knew he was gone well before it was announced, so he wasn't fooling himself. The Tom Herman one, Jerry, that's interesting because that whole staff thought they were coming back until they weren't. And then it's like, oh, by the way, not only have we fired you, but we just hired your replacement. So all you guys are gone. And the women's basketball is a little more cut and dry because Karen Aston, it was just her contract was up. So that was easy, and you hired Vic. So yeah, I would very much, if I'm a Texas fan following this, I would very much look at the CDC timelines. It's not going to be a deal where once the firing is announced, you're going to have this prolonged search. It's going to be, 24 to 48 hours before the next person is hired.
Yeah, max. It'll break. It'll start leaking out before that. Nick asked if you heard any names being thrown around. By the way, we have a great discussion on OnTexasFootball.com about it, multiple threads. But yeah, I mean, look, I think Sean Miller and Tommy Lloyd are two names that Texas fans should know. I think that they are not the only two. There's been a lot of guys vetted. But I've always said that last time go around before Rodney was named the permanent head coach, I mean, Sean Miller was the leader in the clubhouse, and I think he's a tremendous offensive mind. We can get to some of that stuff. Him or Tommy Lloyd, I think have really good offensive systems. They both recruit internationally. I think either one of those guys would be sound next basketball coaches at the University of Texas. Is there somebody else out there too that's a big fish maybe that just says, you know what, I'm ready for a change? Can't rule it out. But I think those are a couple of names to know. There's been some other guys vetted, obviously, as well. This is well into the process. And again, we'll wait for the timing of when everything happens.
Jerry, nobody liked my idea of hologram Jerry Tarkanian, head coach of Texas. You want somebody that can navigate NIL? He was doing it before it was legal. You need a
there's not enough towels to chew on.
No, there's not. Hologram towels.
We're under some athletic budget cuts, so we know we have enough towels for Jerry Tarkanian to chew.
All right. Good Texas basketball discussion. You guys want to talk some Texas basketball, of course, throw it out there, and we'll discuss it, of course. But I do have some football items I want to get you guys' thoughts.
Yes.
Because of Pro Football Focus, they're doing basically best returning, top 10 returning players at every position. And they've been doing it all off season. Now they're on defensive ends, edges. And they put this out, I believe, yesterday, the top 10 returning edge defenders in college football. And no surprise, number one on that list, Colin Simmons. It's number one on the list. And yeah, thank you very much, Matthew. You got Dylan Stewart there as well. I mean, he's in that conversation too. Obviously, two outstanding defenders, and Colin Simmons, freshman All-American, and won the Freshman of the Year award. I'll give you some credit, Jerry, because I remember us talking about this in the preseason last year, and you said you believe that they could threaten the school record, the program record in sacks. You said that in the preseason last season, and I mean they either tied it or they got one shy of it. Texas said they got 47 sacks. Then some other, I think College Football Reference had them at 46. So, but I believe the record is 47, right?
Yeah,
2008 Texas, I believe it's 47. So I'll give you props for that. But is this a group basically that could not only threaten that record, potentially could they break it? Basically. Is it a better pass rush overall than they had last year with now Colin Simmons playing a full-time role?
I think so. And Trey Moore, year 2 of Power 4 football. Ethan Burke, year 4. Anthony Hill, year 3. We could have 2 double-digit sack guys on this team. You know, look, Brad Spence coming in, had 4.5 sacks at Arkansas. Guys are just a year older. Or at that edge position, you know, you have some new faces coming in as well. But Rod, I want to throw it to you because so I think your front seven is going to be a better pass rush front seven than last season. I firmly believe that. So my question to you is, how scheme dependent is it to really take that next step? Is it playing more man, bringing more numbers? Because maybe the most impressive thing about Texas, they have 46 sacks with a low blitz percentage.
Oh, very low. One of the lowest in the country.
Yeah. So you're gonna have more sacks the more blitz pressures you bring, but there's also the flip side to that. If you can average 3.5 sacks a game with 4 and 5 man blitzes, that's a great spot to be defensively.
Yeah. No, it is. If you organic pressure, right? We saw that in the Super Bowl, Jeff. I mean, that was the story of the Super Bowl. They didn't blitz one time, and I believe PK, that's what he prefers. It's just organic pressure. They will have that with the edges that they have available to them. But if you do want to, come close to breaking that record potentially, I'm with Jerry. I think you got to start utilizing the linebackers who also are great pass rushers for you. You can't waste Anthony Hill. He was at 8 sacks, I believe, last season.
8.5.
Honestly, he should be one of those guys that. Now, I don't know how many. I think you're good. 2 guys. I'm with you, Jerry. They don't have double-digit sacks, but I don't know who gets them. I don't know if it's gonna. I know Colin Simmons is one. Is it other than Trey Moore, or is it Anthony Hill? Because it could be Hill who gets it.
I think, Jeff, what's interesting about that is if Brad Spence, I real firmly believe Brad Spence and all these guys have to be healthy, gives Texas more linebacker versatility than they had last year with size. So the more versatility with size you have, the more you can use Anthony Hill as a pass rusher.
Yeah, not just that. I like the fact that the flexibility you've got to have Jelani McDonald at the nickel, at the star, you can really affect the quarterback from all 3 levels. And, there haven't been a ton of Texas defenses I've seen that have been able to do that. My thing I always go back to is the one difference in getting after the quarterback. I think your edge group will be better just because of the experience. And I think what kind of gets lost in the sauce a little bit is, because we saw the year Colin Simmons had and we looked at the interior, man, Trey Moore, you look at his first half of the season, his second half of the season, he was a different guy. Once he adjusted to the speed of the game in the SEC, he started making plays. And I worry about, so I think your edge group will be better just because of the experience, but do you have disruptors on the interior? And I feel like you've got enough bodies and experience to hold up against the run, to be a solid defense against the run, and reserve the right to rush the quarterback on third down. My thing is, do you have disruptors from the interior? If not, then I think you're going to have to get the linebackers involved more, playing some games. You're going to have to play some more games on the edge. And like I said, because of the bodies you've got at safety and nickel, maybe even bring some more pressure from the third level.
Yeah. No, you could do a lot of exotic things with Colin Simmons too. Considering the speed and the frame, you can do some things with him. And I heard you say it, Jeff, and I kind of agree. Maybe the blitz rate doesn't go up because PK likes organic pressure. Maybe the simulated pressures increase. Maybe the twist in the games. The games up front that you play, twists and stunts up front. Maybe you get more of that because you're so athletic at the edge that you can get those guys matched up on, much less athletic interior offensive linemen. So
I've got to make Colin Simmons as hard to block as possible.
There you go.
His ball get off is just it's sick. It's one of the best I've seen.
It's the best we've seen at Texas Rod ever.
I agree.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head that's noticeably better. So I gotta if I'm PK, I've got to make him as hard to block as possible. I'm even looking at ways like, I don't know if you guys remember, like 2013, late in that year, Greg Robinson, he called it the spinner package. It was basically on some passing downs to put Jackson Jeffcoat at middle linebacker and say, you're smart enough, go shoot a gap and rush the quarterback.
Yeah, go find it.
Yeah, I've got to make that opposing quarterback and that offensive line every play, that center, when he's making a Mike ID, I've got to make everybody identify. You got to know where 11 is. You got to know where 0 is. And the longer you take to identify him and make a call, the more likely you're going to make a wrong call. So I've just got to make those two guys as hard to defend as possible.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that bringing up that spinner package too, because I think in the NASCAR package, that's what you can do. You can move those guys around, and that's what 7 of the 9 sacks that Simmons had came in the NASCAR package. I see Barry Sorrell there. Shout out. What's up, fellas? 88 is great. Ain't no doubt. Really excited.
Barry, where's the NFL draft party? OTF draft party at the house or what?
Seriously, man. Excited about what Barron has done to increase his draft stock, man, through this process. So I know that's something that's pumping you guys up. So thanks for joining us. We appreciate that. But speaking of Barron Sorrell, he had 6 sacks. How many sacks did Barron Sorrell?
5.5. I think
5.5, 6 sacks. More than half of those came in the NASCAR package when they bumped him inside. So they can do a lot of different things matchup wise. So you're talking about, Jeff, to find that matchup and hunt that matchup, if you will, in that NASCAR package. They're throwing the football. They only broke it out in third and 7 plus. Now, actually, late in the season, they started using it more like 3rd and 6, 3rd and 5. They just really trusted it to hold up, but it's only a 3rd and long package. So everybody knows they're throwing the football.
I like when defensive coordinators get to the point where you start dictating the terms of the game, because now we talk about offensive coordinators always hunting matchups. Like you said, Rod, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm going to hunt my matchups. I want my matchups to be favorable. And if I've got weapons, if I've got guys like Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons, I want to deploy them as much as possible. Just the same way you'd motion guys and stack them differently in a formation on a perimeter on offense. I'm going to line these guys up in different spots on defense. And I would, with the depth and the versatility, the uniqueness you've got at linebacker. And Jerry, I think no matter what you do at linebacker, your dime package, Anthony Smith can be involved in that to give yourself another coverage body who's not a liability, and you're freeing up Spence and or Hill to go get after the quarterback. So I think this is going to be, I feel like I say this every year, and I think it just shows kind of how this defense is evolving. Your third down packages, your specialty packages on passing downs, the options you've got are pretty much endless. You want to be a 3-man front, a 4-man front, a 2-man front. You want to have 2 linebackers, 3 linebackers, 1, whatever it is. You've got enough versatile personnel where you can mix and match. Jerry, I think Anthony Smith, he'll be what I thought Maurice Blackwell might be, and what I figured they were working him as, to be kind of that dime linebacker that, hey, if they try to isolate him on a slot receiver, he's good enough in coverage where we don't worry about him.
I think the world of Anthony Smith, and I think he's going to have a career in pro football if he stays healthy, stays away from the majors. You think about the flashes he showed last year and that Texas, the staff wasn't scared to put him in key situations or big games. And it just tells you where they believe he's going. And I think, look, the one thing about Ty Anthony Smith that I'll always remember watching him in high school is that he had a high football IQ and is a really intelligent kid. So literally at Jasper, they could play him at Wildcat quarterback. They play him at receiver. They play him at safety. They play him at linebacker. They bring him off the edge. They play him at running back. I don't care who you are. You have to have a capacity to remember a lot of information, Rod, to do that. Quandre Diggs was like that in high school. If you have that ability to take in all that information, remember all that information, remember all the plays, all the calls, everything from multiple positions. I don't care if you're playing small school football or not. That says a lot for your intellect and your football IQ and your natural understanding of the game. So his whole deal coming out of high school, he has long arms for his height too, by the way, which is going to benefit him down the road in the NFL Combine. But my whole deal with him was going to be how long did it take him to add the armor, as Rod said, the proper armor to his frame. The fact that he gained 22 pounds and seemed like a blink of an eye when he got to Texas was huge for him as a freshman. I can't wait to see what he looks like as a sophomore.
Yeah, that transformation for him. But I agree. Yeah, they got so many unique athletes on defense now.
Yeah.
They can do a lot of different things with. I can't wait to see what PK comes up with. Johnny Nansen as well, and now Coach Aquino thrown in the mix too. All right, let's thank our first sponsor of the afternoon, our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery. Did you know the most awarded wine in Texas is actually the vineyard closest to Austin? That's right, folks. Flat Creek Estate Winery is just minutes from downtown Austin, and they've won award after award this year for their vintage wine, Super Texan. Super Texan now available at your local Specs. Also, they have a display. I saw it at our local Central Market here in Austin. So not only can you enjoy that Super Texan, but you can enjoy some of the other great wines that are available from Flat Creek. The Rosé is really good. The Pinot Grigio is fantastic as well. But Flat Creek not only producing great wines, but also it's a gorgeous venue with barbecues and wine tastings every single weekend. Perfect for a date with your significant other or a weekend getaway with your significant other. That's Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. And it's a beautiful day right now in Central Texas. So probably a perfect day to get out to Flat Creek Estate Winery. So thank you very much to Flat Creek for sponsoring our Friday live stream and being a part of the On Texas football family. All right. How about David Q. Williams says the Texas defense had 47 sacks in 2024. I hope they reach 55 and 25. If they do, and they come close to their nation-leading 2020 services, they will win the national championship. Yeah, they got to play more games. Like you played 16 games. How many 2018 played? What, 4? What they played? 14?
Yeah. So the lead. So the national leader in sacks per game last year in the regular season was Ole Miss. They averaged 4 games. They had 48 and 12 games. Okay. So that was the leader nationally at the end of the regular season. And I think Texas had, 36, 37 at the end of the regular season, which was around that number, which you need to be after an SEC title game. I think they had 39, 40. Yeah. That's the area code you need to be. If Texas approaches Ole Miss numbers next year, they're 1,000% in the college football playoff. But I mean, there's just no way they won't be. And I know people are like, well, Ole Miss wasn't. Yeah, but the quarterback had yellow socks at the end of the Florida game. That's why they weren't in the playoff. So if Texas approached that number, the guy threw 3 picks in the last 2 minutes of the game, only 2 counted, but he came back and threw another pick after one return.
Wow. So, yeah. I never heard that before. Fantastic.
Yeah. You had 3 defenses last year that had over 50 sacks. Ole Miss had 52 in 13 games. Boise had 55 in 14 games, and then Ohio State had 53 in 16 games.
Yeah.
Duke was on that same pace, but Duke only played 13 games, and we know that high risk, high reward defense for Manny Diaz. You're gonna rack up the sacks in that defense.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me, guys, I'm not even worried about the sack numbers. I think that's going to happen. I'm worried about creating the same amount of turnovers next year because you lost Barron and Makuba, 2 not just really good football players, but very instinctive football players. My concern is, are you going to get as many turnovers in the back end? because I know the sacks and the pressure is going to happen. That's just a pure talent level with this team. What do you do, to David Keith Williams' point, in the back end? If you create the similar numbers as last year, then you're going to have a hell of a season again defensively.
That's a great – I don't think you're going to create the same number of interceptions as you did last year. Now, I say that, but pressure, ultimately, if you're creating that much pressure, you could just get ill-advised passes. You can get errant throws. So I say that. You just may not – like this. Go think about some of the interceptions that – we talked about this actually yesterday, I believe. Think about some of the interceptions that Jahdae Barron and that Andrew Makuba had. A lot of times, guys, they were robbing other areas of the field in coverage, like robbing the post. The first interception Jahdae Barron got, he was robbing the post. Remember? He has no work, and he goes and finds the post running on the opposite side of the formation, and then goes to rob it. And it was a beautiful. It's going to be on his draft highlight reel. It'll be one of the first plays they show. Right?
It will be.
3 of his 5 interceptions, guys, he was robbing some other area of the field. It wasn't even his guy in coverage. Yeah. His eyes are so good. I talked about this. One of the most underestimated, I think, disciplines or underestimated traits for a great DB is just disciplined eyes. And Makuba and Jahdae Barron had some of the best I've seen in DBU history. And think about it. By the way, Andrew Makuba did the same thing. Right? Think about him in that Georgia game. What is he doing? He's looking for work. He goes to rob the 6 route, the crossing route, and goes to the interception. That's like half of those guys' interceptions or more. Do you have guys, like you said, instinctual, but also have the really disciplined and veteran eyes to be able to diagnose routes and route combinations, to know route combinations so well that they know, hey, my work isn't here, so I need to go find work, and it's likely on the other side of the formation because of the formation and the amount of receivers I have to this side. There's likely another threat coming from the other side. Like, that is a lot of veteran experience to learn stuff like that. Like, I didn't learn that till probably my junior, senior year, something like that, to be able to look for that and know where the opposing team is going to try to attack you on the opposite side of formation. That means you got to know the entire play, not just what your responsibility is. You got to know what everybody's doing. And that is something you had multiple guys in the secondary, Taff included, and Jahdae and Makuba, who all knew what the other guys in that secondary all were supposed to be doing. And so they knew where they could cheat within the structure of the defense. Do you have enough guys to be able to do it? Like, Jahdae Barron was just cheating. He was like, nah, I'm in zone, but my guy's running a shallow route. Let me look at this seam route number 2. And what game was it? It was Arkansas. When he went and stole the seam route and went off. That's cheating. You got DBs that can do that. They can do their job and other guys and help out other guys too and be help defenders when they need to. I don't know if you have that. Not saying they're gonna be bad, but that's very advanced, guys. That's advanced. That's NFL stuff.
Yeah, I think some of your turnovers too might have to. I mean, I'm thinking about there was a couple that Anthony Hill got his hands on that he just didn't finish.
Yeah,
I think making teams pay for, especially how good you can be in the middle of the field if Jelani McDonald's at nickel. When teams throw those high risk passes over the middle on your in-breaking routes or your crossers, you got to make them pay for that. Make it a high risk throw because you're getting your turnovers there. Hopefully, though, and right, we talked about this on Football Theory this week. Hopefully, your offense takes care of the ball better to the point where you won't need so many turnovers
to
win football games.
That's a good point. more about complementary football. Maybe you get more of that complementary football we're talking about. All right. Thank you guys for that conversation. I see AJJ says, I'm more worried about who is lining up opposite Manny Muhammad more than the pass rush, to be honest. Oh, no, I'm not. We're not worried about the pass rush. I think we were just more seeing how to talk about the ceiling of it. Like, how good could it be? It could be it could help break the all-time sack record at Texas potentially. Yes, but AJJ to echo your sentiment, I too. If I'm looking at the most important position battles of the spring, I think cornerback opposite Malik Muhammad might be at the top of my list. I'm sure there are some other, but that might be my number one that I'm paying attention to because it could go a number of different ways. They probably have Jalen Gilbo cross training as a solution and a potential option. Kobe Black, I'm sure, is going to get as many opportunities as anyone to win that job. There's Ron Roberson, who is also thrown in the mix there. I think Cade Phillips might have something to say about it when he comes in, and if he can really process a lot early. And really show off his football IQ, as Jerry was saying. If he can handle a lot early, they might put a lot on his plate. So it could go about 4 different ways. That's good because I think one of those solutions will work.
Yeah,
right? One of those contingency plans will work. We're just not sure exactly what it is.
And I'm not ruling out that your corner starting opposite Manny Muhammad might be on another roster right now.
Oh,
I'm not ruling that out. I mean, if you can upgrade that position, I mean, this staff has shown, Jerry, if they can upgrade, they'll go upgrade. And I don't think it'll be a knock on the talent on campus. They just might feel like, okay, these guys aren't quite ready for that yet. Not ready to just jump into a starting role and play high leverage snaps. So I'm not going to completely discard that.
Okay. Yeah, you know what?
Hey, we have something we need to talk about real quick on here.
Let's jump on it.
Tony DeGreat made a Facebook post today announcing that Kenneth Sims, one of the Texas greats, passed away.
No way.
What?
Yeah, so I don't know if Matthew can find anything else on that. So he said his Facebook post is RIP Special K. Thanks for everything. So that's Kenneth Sims, one of the all-time greats at the University of Texas.
I have Vance Bedford posted on Twitter 23 minutes ago that he was just informed that Kenneth Sims had passed.
Wow. Yeah, one of the guys, one of the 2 number 1 picks overall that played football at the University of Texas. Is that right? One of the that went number 1 overall in the draft, or I think there's been 2.
Yeah. Man, Lombardi Award winner, was an All-American, had a pretty long NFL career. Man, was a great player on the 40 acres.
Yes.
And a great dude too, Rod. I know you.
I knew. Like I said, I hung out with him several times. He was awesome. I interviewed him. He would come, do the radio show sometime. I mean, he was great. He was fantastic.
Hey, Groesbeck High School went from Groesbeck High to number 1 pick in the draft.
Man,
1982 NFL draft. Won the Lombardi in 91. NFL All Rookie Team in 82. A consensus All-American, Longhorn Hall of Honor, and College Football Hall of Famer. So one of the greats of the University of Texas. Thoughts of his family. Sure.
Tommy Novus also was the 3rd Longhorn that went number 1 overall, Jerry.
Yeah. The 3rd. There's 3 then. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's so unfortunate. That's so sad to hear. He was a good dude too. I mean, like I said, didn't know his era in terms of playing. I know he was a legend and a GOAT, but he always gave me the time. I mean, and was always very gracious, funny. He was hilarious.
Did he live in the Austin area? Do we know?
He had to have, because he was.
You saw him around.
I saw him all the time. So I don't know if he still did. At one point, he had to have.
I could be wrong, but I think Kenny lived in Groesbeck or somewhere around there.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he was just around. I don't know. Like I have no idea. I don't know that.
How would you like to be a college football player? And keep in mind, late 70s, your offensive guards are what, probably 250-ish? How'd you like to face a Texas defensive line with Kenneth Sims and Steve McMichael on the same defensive line?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, Kenneth Sims was 6'5", 270 back during that time, right?
Just talking about pass rush. That's a nightmarish pass rush.
And Steve McMichael, as he said, he didn't earn the nickname Bam Bam because he liked the cartoon. He earned it because he bounced at a strip club with a baseball bat in college.
Oh, man. Oh,
he was the first Lombardi winner at the University of Texas, too. He was the top defensive vote recipient for the Heisman Trophy that year as well.
UPI offensive lineman of the year, defensive lineman of the year in 81, unanimous All-American, which, Rod, we talk about. That list is not very long. There's only like 20 guys in the history of the program that have been unanimous All-Americans. Consensus in 80. 81 was when he was unanimous. Twice first team All-Southwest Conference. 2 times he was the Longhorn team MVP and inducted into the Longhorn Hall of Honor in 1997. Also was the Pro Football Writers Association All-Rookie team in 1982.
So he was on. It was at 81. You said he was on that defense, that 81 defense.
Mm-hmm.
Man, yeah, that pass rush that was ferocious. I mean, good Lord, man, very Yeah, so
hey Jeff,
Thoughts
Jeff,
and
before you joined OTF, we were doing. Somebody brought up Daniel Lavelle. We were doing trivia nights. If we do a trivia night again, we're putting you on. You're gonna have fun with that. We have a trivia game show. If we do that again, you're definitely on. It's right up your alley. Pit you and Bobby, and I'll be the host, and we'll have some fun.
Jeff will be good. Jeff worked with Craig Way too for years. So he definitely got a lot of random knowledge and information, Longhorn related stuff.
Oh, we should get Craig Way and versus Jeff. That's what we should do, and Bobby. That's our trivia night.
I want to take him to go.
No. You gotta unseat him. You have to unseat him.
Craig, I don't know, man. Craig, I'm telling you, Craig. I always say this about Craig Way because, and you can attest, Jeff. You worked with him for years, because I worked with him as well. He wasted his talent, honestly, by being the best play-by-play guy in the business, because with his ability to retain information and then be able to just, randomly come up with it wherever he is on the spot. I think he should be working for like the CIA, or should be working for one of the government organizations to help us, decipher code and do all kind of stuff, man. That dude is freaky.
Man, I'll tell you, one of the coolest and scariest car rides of my life was Texas played in Greenville, North Carolina, for that super regional against East Carolina in 2022. And after the second game, they win it to force the third game. We get done early enough. Craig wants to drive down to the Carolina coast to eat at the seafood restaurant that he likes. It's me, Craig, and Roger Wallace driving down this 2-lane highway in backwoods North Carolina. I have no idea where I am. And Craig is rattling off like North Carolina state history as we're driving down the road. He's doing that while going about 80 and checking super regional baseball scores on his phone. And I'm just like, not in any way feel safe in this car right now.
That's one of the things people don't know about Craig Way. He's a speed junkie.
And
he actually drives to a lot of these places. He can, I believe they give him the option to fly. He's like, nah, I want to visit this diner, and then I want to visit this historic site on my way there. And he'll just drive to these places, and he gets there quickly. And we won't talk about how because Jeff experienced it too. And he's a foodie.
Yeah.
So he got great food recommendations. I'm talking about places. Jeff experienced it, places in what the hills have eyes, in the middle of nowhere, in the sticks, and they'll have some of the best random fried chicken you've ever had in your life. Craig, like I told you, it was worth it.
Rod and I went to Okarche, Oklahoma with Craig and Roger during an Oklahoma State football weekend.
Yep.
Best Yardbird I probably ever had.
Oh, man. It was amazing. And Craig's like, no, we got to go. I don't remember how long we drove, Jeff. It was like, 45 minutes out in the middle of nowhere. And there you go.
We're into something here, Craig. Where are we going?
They're wasting Craig. You should do trivia night with Craig, and Craig should do like a road food
Craig
show.
On the road, just have a video in his car.
His road food show would be great, and then random trivia with Craig would be also great from Craig Way. All right, let's thank our friends over at Von Lane before we move on here. Thank you very much to Von Lane for being sponsors of our Friday live stream. And trust me, folks, I've actually gotten the chance to travel Von Lane several times. I've taken it to Houston. I've actually taken it to the DFW area as well. If you are traveling between the major Texas cities, Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Von Lane is the only way to travel. You tried flying, you tried driving. Now it's time to upgrade to Von Lane, the smarter way to travel between major Texas cities. Now, let's face it, flying is a hassle. Security lines, you got packed gates, delayed flights, the ridiculous prices in the airport, all for what, a 60-minute flight. It's not worth it. All right. Driving isn't much better at all. You got the traffic to deal with. If you tried that same day round trip, there's a ton of lost productivity, emails piling up, calls going unanswered, and work left undone while you're focusing on the road. Why waste that day when you can stay connected and productive with Von Lane? Von Lane changes everything, folks. It's luxury regional bus travel, what some call a private jet on wheels. I can attest to that. It is great. The service is fantastic, and it is first class. You can sink into a plush leather seat with leg rest and stay connected with complimentary Wi-Fi. Enjoy complimentary snacks and drinks on every trip, plus delicious meals on select departures. If you need to freshen up, they have hot towel service. They have eye masks and pillows and blankets It's everything you need to get relaxed. The Von Lane team takes care of every detail so you can sit back, unwind, and enjoy the most comfortable travel experience on the road today. And also, if you're planning a special trip, maybe a guy's trip or a girl's trip or bachelor party, bachelorette party, a football game, concert, any special event, you can charter your own Von Lane coach for the ultimate group experience. Von Lane is first-class travel without the hassle. See for yourself. Visit vonlane.com. That's VONLANE.com and use the promo code OTF25 for $20 off your first trip with Von Lane. That's vonlane.com. All right. Thank you very much to Von Lane for sponsoring our Friday live stream. All right. Got a couple of questions here. This one's for you, Jeff, from Nick. He said, Jeff, you think Vandy sweeps A&M?
Hope so. It's hard. It's hard to get sweeps in baseball in the SEC, but man, look, Blake and CJ and I talk about on Bases Loaded, to get to host a regional, like, or what constitutes a good season in the SEC. I'm like, if you're 500 or better in conference play, you had a good year. I didn't think we'd talking about A&M second week in a conference play, trying to get to 500 overall and struggling to get to that mark, but here we are. So,
I got a question. Do you think Michael Early will be on the Texas staff next year?
Man,
because he's not going to be the coach at A&M. So, staff's full right now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who are you going to get rid of, or who's going to leave? I tell you this: Troy Tulowitzki loves living in Austin, and now that he's got a full-time spot on the staff, I mean, maybe he tries it for a year and doesn't like it and wants to go back to being a volunteer assistant or consultant. But I mean, depending on how it shakes out, Jerry, and what's coming back, if you're Schloss, I don't know. They worked so well together at A&M that maybe you'd find a place for him. But if the staff's going to stay the same, nobody leaves, I don't know why you'd want to tinker with it.
And I think he's got a $3.4 million buyout, so it probably has to sit out a little while.
And he can be a consultant. Yeah, he can be a consultant or whatever. And plus, I mean, with the pool, with the waves they're making in recruiting right now, and Tulo's a really big part of that. I wouldn't mess with staff chemistry.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the question, Nick. We appreciate it. Another question here from Victor. Victor says, do we trust Gilbo to be our opposite cornerback to Manny? Rod, is he twitchy enough and has those hips? I'm not sure I see it. That could be some. I mean, I remember when Jahdae Barron, people were talking about Jahdae making that move, and everybody questioned whether he had the speed, the straightaway speed to move to corner. He obviously proves that not only through his play, but then proved that at the combine as well. So, it's hard to question whether he's lacking something to do it. I mean, because my belief has always been, I told Jeff this before too, I think nickel is tougher to play than corner. I've talked to Quandre Diggs about this, and Quandre Diggs also agrees. Hell, Quandre even said he got bored playing anything other than nickel. He got bored playing safety, got a little bored at corner because he wants, corner, you may not get tested a lot. You tested, 5-6 times a game, you better be ready to go. But you may not get tested a ton. At safety, you literally are the last line of defense sometimes, right? So, you kind of last to get there at times. That's your job, to make sure nothing gets behind you. Nickel, oh man. I mean, nickel, it is constant action all the time. Like there's always contact. There's always action. Like you are always right in the thick of it, in the middle of it at nickel, and everything happens quickly. And that's why Quandre's like, no, he said, I love playing nickel. Like he kind of got the high of he's an adrenaline junkie. So he just wants to be in the mix all the time, and he just gets bored of other positions. So I'm getting back to initially what I was talking about. I think the skill set to play nickel at a high level, that slot corner high level, I think usually that guy has a Sunday skill set. I mean, it's go track and trace the lineage of nickel at Texas, going back to Rod B.
Rod, to your point, when Deion Sanders, longtime coach of the Under Armour game, when I was at ESPN before he got into college coaching, he told kids, first meeting with the DBs every year, nickel's the hardest position to play. Who wants to crack at it on my team? Yeah,
I agree, man. I played it. I think it is. I think it's a guy with a two-way go, and oh man, and the variety that you have to have in terms of traits and skill sets. I think ultimately, if you can play nickel and slot, then you can play corner. Now, can you do both at a high level like Jahdae Barron? I don't know, because I don't think Gilbo is as good of a nickel as Jade was.
Right.
And I don't know if he's going to be as good of a corner as Jade was either. So
I think we'll have our answer, Jeff, to your point, at the corner spot. The great thing about the portal in the spring portal is this: you get your answers with the spring portal. Yeah. If you see Texas go after a corner, the answer is we don't have our answer.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line, there's like 3 positions I'm looking at with Texas this spring: running back, wide receiver to a certain extent, and corner. Mm-hmm. Texas, like wide receiver is different though, because if a top 3-round pick jumps in the portal and it's a guy Texas likes, they're going to take that guy. So let's remove it. Let's say corner and running back, the 2 positions where it's people always talk about, hey, do we need to get somebody here? Do we need a guy here? If Texas doesn't go in the portal, then they think they have their answer. It's pretty simple coming out of the spring with the spring portal. If you see them chasing a running back or corner in the portal, then you also have your answer. They don't feel like they saw their answer this spring.
Yeah,
that's where the spring portal is pretty simple.
I think if you look at it, Rod, and you can tell me if I'm off on this, I think you almost look at it the way it's set up now for college teams. Spring practice is kind of like an NFL team going through free agency, and you kind of figure out your needs. And then once free agency is over, then you have the draft. That's basically what the portal is. And your needs could change based on how free agency works out.
Yeah. It's funny, like to throw NFL terms at it, like your December, January portals, your NFL draft, your spring portals, your supplemental draft.
I like that. Yeah, you're right about that. And I think kind of going back to the question here, I think Jelani McDonald and his, development overall at nickel is going to play his role because he's a different kind of nickel. Like he's a big nickel, which is kind of just an extra safety on the field rather than a coverage nickel, which is what Jalen Gilbo is. So I think there's, room for, if Jalen Gilbo is going to switch to corner, that would mean they like what Jelani McDonald's bringing, maybe even as a coverage defender at nickel. Because that would be, to me, the only downside of Jelani McDonald being a full-time nickel is that could he be exploited in coverage?
I want the secondary to have enough pieces and enough versatility to where I don't need to count on Jelani McDonald playing one position to make him effective.
I agree.
There may be a game where you need him at safety. Maybe you want to play more 3 high and you want him as that middle safety, or maybe you want him at nickel this game, or whatever it is. And likewise with Gilbo, there may be games where it makes sense to have Gilbo out of corner. There may be games where it makes sense to have him in the nickel, but I want them to have enough personnel and be flexible enough to be able to do that and to change. I know that's asking a lot, but I mean, that's kind of where this defense is. If you're going to continue to be one of the elite defenses in the country, that's the kind of personnel you have.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. They should be kind of malleable and matchup based. They have those kind of guys. So the Gilbo to corner thing, I think it's one of the solutions that they should be open to for filling that spot opposite of Malik Muhammad. But you go with whatever the best option is. And maybe it's just one of the young bucks. They just take the job. Maybe it's Kobe Black. He just takes the job. And all of these conversation is moot. I think that's what they want. Ideally, you want somebody to just, they take ownership of that job and they leave no doubt. There's no doubt like, oh, man, that dude's the starting corner. That's what you like. If they come out of spring and nobody's done that, then we get to the conversation that Jeff and Jerry were just talking about. That maybe then they look elsewhere to see if they can fill that void. All right. Thank you guys for that question. Thank you, Victor. Good question there. How about this one from Silver Spurs 420 says, is there a top 5 pick out there looking running back, cornerback? If so, how much time do they have to announce?
Now, spring portal opens April 15th, shuts down the April 25th. So nobody out there right now. We'll see as we get closer, but I don't think top 5 pick. I don't think we're doing anything there. I think could be a couple of 3 wide receivers jump in. There's one in particular we're kind of watching behind the scenes. If he jumps in, he's going to be considered a top 2 or 3 round pick, and it would be a guy Texas would go after. But you don't know if that guy's going in yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the question, Silver Spurs 420.
Eric, to your point on that, in the supplemental draft, the teams that do use the supplemental draft, you're not forfeiting a first rounder the next year. You maybe do it for a 3 or a 4, a 5, something like that. So, it's, hey, the spring portal window is one of those. Maybe you find you a Jermaine Lole that ends up being a really good player for you. Maybe you find Javion Cole, a guy that just didn't fit. It's way spring portal window is way more of a crapshoot than winter portal window.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to this quote from Steve Sarkisian. He was on, I don't know if you guys paid attention to Cam Jordan's podcast. Cam Jordan, the former NFL defensive lineman, he's got a podcast. He brought Steve Sarkisian game on the show. I think they have a connection of some kind. But on this show, they did it live actually. And Sark took questions from the audience. One of the questions from the audience was from a young lady who said her brother's a Longhorn fan, and he wanted to know about Cedric Baxter, so a real Longhorn fan. I tried to get the inside scoop from Sark. Sark's answer on the question, will Cedric Baxter be ready for the Ohio State game? Quote, Cedric's doing great. So Cedric Baxter is a running back of ours that tore his ACL early in training camp last year. He was set to, I think, have a great season. His rehab is going fantastic. He looks really good, and he's in really good spirits. He said, obviously, we have some time, right? For him, it's essentially going to be a 12-month recovery, which is a great amount of time coming off an ACL. We feel very confident that he will be, but time will tell. We're in March, and we've got plenty of time until August 30th when we play. We've got plenty of time until then. So he said basically they hope he will be. We feel very confident, that he'll be ready for the Ohio State game. If is ready mean you're going to lean on him?
Yeah.
Ready just means like, oh, no, he's ready, and, he's done with all of his rehab and recovery. But that's still different than him being your number one running back and being your workhorse, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And look, we'll see where he's at come August, because he's got to not have a setback between now and then too, Rod. I mean, that's the big thing is once he gets really full go and starts planning and cutting, he's got to get through all that without some sort of setback, pulled hamstring, right? Strained calf. I mean, all these things I'm sure y'all talked to Bob Shipley, the setbacks that Jordan had with a hamstring, right? After an ACL. You got to get through that with no setbacks as you get back into full speed cutting and full speed work. And then if you can get past that with no setbacks, then you get to the part of it. You're on the field. And then how long does it take you mentally? Because I don't care. And I think Cedric Baxter is an unbelievable kid, is a great leader. I've told the stories thousands of times now from when I was at Edgewater. But still with an injury like that, the first time you get hit, the first time you plant in full pads, the first time that you have to take the contact, right, Rod? There's a mental hurdle you have to get over.
Yep.
How long does it take him to get 100% mentally after he gets back on the field? So it's a process. Will he be ready for Ohio State? I don't know. I don't know if Sark and them really know. I think they're hopeful. But you got to have no setbacks in the before pads come on.
Mm-hmm.
My interpretation of ready is, can he be a part of the game plan in some way? Can you have a few things for him?
Yeah.
So if that's Sark's definition of ready, then yeah, I think you can get there. I've said it before with Baxter. For me, it's by the Florida game, can he be ready to be, 10 to 15 carries a game? Because you have all the non-conference, the bye week, and then boom, you start SEC play.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel too. That honestly, that's where my expectation is.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to get expectations ready for early on in the season or the non-con at all. I'm with you, Jeff. I think start of SEC play or right close to kind of the midpoint of the season. That's when my expectations will be for him to be one of the main staples of the game plan. And you got the luxury of Trey Wisner. God bless Trey Wisner, who has earned.
And look, and you should have Jarrett Gibson making a step in year 2. We don't know how big of a step in year 2. And again, this is one I think the most intriguing things coming out of the spring is going to be. So you have a new running back coach in Chad Scott.
Mm-hmm.
If Texas says, oh, we're good after the spring and doesn't go to the portal, with Christian Clark being limited and CJ Baxter being out, tells you James Simon has a bright future. There's there's almost like no other way to look at it, because if you say, no, we're good, we don't need to go to the portal, and you had Christian Clark limited and Cedric Baxter still out, that means you really liked what you saw from your young kids.
I agree. Yeah.
That's true.
Because the thinking in the coaches' meetings is, because you go through all the scenarios, right? You go through the best case and the worst case. Worst case, Trey Wisner goes down in August camp. What do we have? Do we need to go to the portal? And if your answer is no, then you must really like your young backs in the program.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
so that means they had great springs. If that's the answer.
So that, getting back to your point, Jerry. So if you could buy, let's say you were looking at, a spring stock report. If you could buy any stock that you think it's about
Great
to
question.
shoot, it's about to, it's about to skyrocket, this stock. Whose stock are we buying in the spring? Is yours? Is that who it is for you, Baby Rhino?
James Simon.
Oh, okay.
And I've said that with him because I think he's coming in advanced. His father was a 10-year plus college coach, running back coach, OC, wide receiver coach. His dad was a tremendous running back slot player at Louisiana Tech, cup of coffee in the NFL. He's coming in advanced as a football player from an understanding standpoint. Physically, he's around 205 pounds. There's a report he's like 215 or 220. That's not accurate. I actually asked his dad a couple of weeks ago. He said he's around 203, 205. The goal is to play at about 208 this year. But he's carrying pretty good weight. He's getting stronger. I just have a feeling this kid's going to be advanced. I think he's going to pick up the scheme pretty quick. I think he's going to be ahead of the game in pass pro. And I could be wrong easily, but I'm kind of a stock buyer in James Simon heading into the spring.
That's a good one. I like that.
And I could really easily be wrong, but I liked what I saw in the senior tape from him. I liked the cuts he made. I liked the reads he made. I thought he read it's like at Ray Lewis camp, when we used to run that with ESPN, Ray called it reading the triangle, right, for the middle back. You got to read the triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys who could read the triangle, man, Ray just loved those guys. If they could read the triangle without him having to instruct how to read the triangle. One of the things I noted with James Simon's senior tape on the flip side is he read linebackers really quickly. I just – and there's always a speed of the game adjustment, but I just have a feeling this kid's going to be really good.
I like that.
And I'm not saying he's going to pass Jarrett Gibson or anything. What I am saying is if he's really good this spring, then that alleviates concerns on the staff about needing to go to the portal.
Okay. Jeff, you got one? That was a good one. I like that.
That I'm buying stock in. I would say Jordan Washington followed closely, and that's kind of, hey, tight end numbers are down and he has to play, but I'm going to buy Xavier Filsaime. Because if Jelani McDonald, with the experiment with him at nickel, depending on how much you do there, and Derek Williams out for spring, he's got a chance.
Yep.
Well,
Jeff, he stole mine. That was good, Jeff. He stole mine.
Well, the reason I think y'all are on to something with that is in the day and age of the portal, it's about player retention. And players that didn't play this year, if they retain those players, they really like where those guys could head as players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Santana Wilsons, the Phil Sams. You retain your player retention answers a lot of questions on where you think some of these young guys can go in the program. I feel like
that. All right. Now we're getting to the end of our live stream here, getting close to it. Let me tell you about another one of our sponsors here, and then we'll come back and answer some more questions. How about this one from our friends at Bluebird Organizing? If you and your family are feeling a bit overwhelmed, maybe stressed out, just with life in general, all right, holding on to too much stuff, maybe navigating a big transition in your life, like moving or divorce, having kids. If you're ready to bring more order and calm to your space you spend every day, Bluebird Organizing, Austin's premier professional organizers, help you wherever you are in life. You'll end overwhelmed, get organized, and make your space work for you. If the thought of having someone come look at your personal space feels a bit overwhelming, well, Bluebird Organizing understands that. It's no small ask to let someone, a stranger, come into your home. But with Bluebird Organizing, there's no judgment at all, folks. Only efficient plans that can resolve conflicts at home and change your life for the better. Call or text them at 737-346-7779. That's 737-346-7779 to book your free in-person consultation today. That's right, absolutely free. So you got nothing to lose, but so much to gain with the Bluebird Organizing. That's bluebirdorganizing.net. And we want to thank them for being sponsors of our Friday live stream and being a part of the On Texas football family here. All right, a couple of more.
By the way, I just got to say, I've never met Perry, but somebody needs to give her number to Kirby Smart because he needs some help over there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, man. Since 2023, I believe it's like 27 guys have had.
He needs Bluebird Organizing bad over there right now.
Well, yeah, I don't know, man. Bluebird Organizing may decide, you know what? You guys on your own.
We've tackled a lot, but that one's too much. We'll pass.
Oh, it's crazy what's going on there. All right, let me get you. First, we got a couple of questions, then I'll get you guys' thoughts about one of the topics before we get done. Victor says, "What about Wardell Mack? Been pretty quiet." Wardell Mack's one of those guys. It's a big spring for Wardell Mack in terms of finding a role in that secondary. I love the fact that he's versatile, though. I love the fact that he can play nickel, they can play corner. This coaching staff is starting to prioritize versatility. It manufactures depth. They want guys who will give them the ability to put the best 5 players on the field. That's going to be, especially with Coach Aquino, new eyes, because he loves versatility. That might be Wardell Mack's saving grace to find a role on this team, honestly. All right, thank you, Victor. We appreciate that. All right, Jerry, I'm going to ask you to give our friends over at South Point a bit of a shout out here in just a second. But first, South KMX says, anyone know how I can get my 2003 Bowman Gold Rookie number 222 Roger Babers card signed? LOL. You can send it to me. So, you know what? If you can find a way to get to Matthew, maybe Matthew can do it, and I'll give you an address to send it to. I'll give you somewhere to send it if you really want it signed. Like, we can make that happen. If you're serious about it, you could just be joking. It ain't worth nothing.
No. It's worth something.
It's worth like $1.75 maybe. If I say, my point is, if you're serious though, South KMX, I'll make sure I get it back to you.
Hey, Rod, go back to the first picture, Matt.
I can get you an address to send it.
Hey, Rod, you still have that same muscle? You still have the same muscle definition right there? You still got the muscle definition?
No, man, I don't. Look how clean. I was clean though. It's clean. Look
clean, man. Look at that.
Man, it's clean out there.
Wearing Jason Sehorn's number and everything.
I know. They still regret that one. They thought I was going to replace the right wineout.
That's a good card, man. Skinny ankles. You got them all covered there. You got all the boxes checked to be an NFL player.
But I don't like the technique. Hands are too low. Hands should be up. Look at it. Hands should be up. Trying to make contact and play bump and run. Hands should be up. I wonder who the receiver is here. That's what I really wonder is. That would be interesting to figure out who that is.
Patriots. Who is it for the Patriots?
I have no idea. I don't even remember this rep. That's how wild my career was. How short it was, probably. All right, we're buying the flash. Jerry, would you tell the people, the good folks out there, about our friends over at South Point? Matthew, stop doing investigative work. I don't want to know who it was.
Yes, this read is not for Georgia players. This is for Texas football fans. Hey, Texas football fans, score an easy point this season. When you get to the point at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock, and their award-winning sales staff doesn't do games or gimmicks. They just get straight to the point by getting you the best deal. So score big today at South Point Dodge. Come see us off I-35 in South Austin or at southpointdodge.com. Get to the point at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge is Austin's automotive everything. Looking to sell your car? Get South Point's best offer over the phone or online, or again, go to I-35 in South Austin or come check out southpointdodge.com. Georgia fans, Georgia players, this is not for you.
Oh man, what is going on? But this is crazy because
did
you figure that out? That was fast. Oh, there you go. Oh,
it was
man.
it was Bethel Johnson, the Aggie, wasn't it? You were mad.
Wow, they got two Texas guys on there, right?
David Givens from Humble, Notre Dame.
Yeah, and Bethel Johnson from A&M. That's wow, because I played against him in college. It could have been Bethel, honestly, right? He's like a second round. Was he a second round pick? Something like that.
Yeah.
He ran real fast before.
That dude was fast, dude.
Yeah, I want to say
Corsicana High School. I think he was fast.
Yeah, of course he was fast. Like I remember the dudes who were really fast because they had a different gear than me, and I was fast, and he was one of them dudes. I remember that. See, man, Matthew always does great investigative work. It took him like 90 seconds to find that. Well done. Thank you, Matthew.
Hey, Matthew, go back to the box score real quick.
No.
Go scan up. So Jeremy Shockey was the Giants tight end.
Oh, yeah, we had Shockey.
Greg Collins versus Tom Brady. Kevin Falk was your running back. There you go. Ike Hilliard, Marcellus Iki.
Shockey was a star back then too. That was a good team of like celebrities because Tiki was on that team. Right?
Michael Barrow.
Strahan was on that team.
Dude, Roman Pfeiffer had 19 tackles in that game. Give somebody else a chance to hit somebody. Jeez.
But that team was loaded. That was a good team. Oh man, yeah, damn. Yeah, Roman Pfeiffer was a hell of a player. That's old school. All right, sorry about the blast from the past there, but thank you. Hey, but seriously, South KMX, if you are serious, I will give Matthew like, oh, there you go, boom, there you go. But I can give Matthew a place for you to send the card to, and then you can get back with Matthew next.
Rod will autograph it live on a Von Lane bus.
It was, like I said, I don't know if it's going to increase the value for you, but if you want me to sign it, it'll be my pleasure and honor to do so. All right. Thank you, Matthew, behind the scenes. That's why Matthew is the real MVP, working harder than everybody else. Thank you, Jerry, for all the great nuggets. And thank you, Jeff, for your expertise as well. Also, thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you to South Point Dodge. Thank you to southpointdodge.com. Thank you to our friends over at Flat Creek Estate Winery, flatcreekestate.com. vonlane.com. Remember to use that code OTF25. You'll get $20 off your first ride with vonlane.com. And also Bluebird Organizing, bluebirdorganizing.net. Really appreciate all of our sponsors here at On Texas Football. And for Jeff and for Matthew and for Jerry, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Thank you guys for all the super chats and all the questions as well, and your participation. We can never do it without you. Until next time, hook 'em horns.